Welcome to this Masterclass explainer on the absolute backbone of fixed income. Have you ever wondered why a bond with a face value of exactly 1,000 rupiah sometimes trades in the market for 950 rupiahs, or perhaps leaps all the way up to 1,050 rupiahs? I mean, it seems kind of counterintuitive at first glance, right? Why on earth would you pay more or less than what the bond is officially worth? Well, today we're going to completely demystify this. We're breaking down exactly how you calculate its real value, and more importantly, how you lock down these core concepts for your CFA Level 1 exam. Okay, let's dive right into our exam roadmap for today. We'll be covering the core pricing concept, calculating premium bond prices, the price-yield relationship, navigating common exam traps, and we'll wrap up with a CFA practice and study strategy.
Starting off with Section 1, the core pricing concept, fundamentals first.
Look, before we even touch a calculator, we need to set the ground rules. What actually is a bond price? Put simply, it's just the present value of all future cash flows. That's literally it. That is the ultimate golden rule of bond valuation. When you buy a bond, you're really just buying a stream of future cash flows. You've got the regular coupon payments you receive every year, plus that big final principal repayment at the very end of the bond's life. Now, because those cash flows happen in the future, we have to discount them back to today's value using a required rate of return. Honestly, if you can firmly grasp this single concept, the rest of fixed income becomes incredibly logical. Moving right along to Section 2, calculating premium bond prices, the math deconstructed. All right, let's shift your mindset a bit here. I know formulas can look intimidating on the page, but I want you to stop fearing advanced calculus and start anticipating simple arithmetic. Step 1 is always identifying your inputs. Let's say we have a face value of $1,000. Our coupon is 10%, which means the bond pays out $100 every single year. The market's required rate of return, or yield to maturity, is 8%, and we have 3 years until maturity. In Step 2, we just discount each of those cash flows using that 8% yield. So year 1's $100 coupon is discounted by 8% for 1 year. Year 2's $100 is discounted for 2 years. And in year 3, we discount the final $100 coupon plus that $1,000 principal repayment. Step 3, you just sum those present values together. But actually, scratch that manual math. Use the time value of money row on your Texas Instruments BA2+. It's a massive shortcut. You simply punch in 3 for N, 8 for I over Y, 100 for PMT, and 1,000 for FV, and then just hit Compute PV. And boom, when you run that calculation, whether by hand or with your calculator shortcut, you arrive at approximately 1,051 rupees. It's a satisfying resolution to our math, but let's pause and talk about the why. Notice that the price is higher than the $1,000 face value. Why is that? Well, because the bond is paying a very generous 10% coupon, but the market is only demanding an 8% return. Because you're getting a much better than market interest rate, this bond is highly desirable, and therefore it trades at a premium. You literally have to pay extra upfront to get your hands on those juicy cash flows. Now, this relationship right here is a phenomenally high-yield exam insight. It anchors the math we just did straight back to a real-world logical rule. You don't always need to calculate the exact price to know if a bond is trading at a premium or a discount. Just look at the relationship. If the coupon is greater than the YTM, the price is greater than par. It's a premium bond, just like our last example. If the coupon is less than the YTM, it's a discount bond, and if they match exactly, it trades right at par. Memorize the logic here, not just the words. All right, Section 3, the price-yield relationship, the golden inverse rule. We are now stepping into arguably the absolute most crucial CFA concept that governs all fixed income markets. Notice the seesaw mechanic of the bond market. Yield and price move in opposite directions. It's an inverse relationship. When yield increases, the bond price falls. When yield decreases, the bond price rises. Think back to our present value math from earlier. A higher yield means a higher discount rate. Mathematically, dividing future cash flows by a larger number gives you a smaller present value. If you were to plot this out on a graph, it creates a very distinct downward sloping curve. Let's apply this inverse rule to a real-world inflation scenario. Imagine inflation is rising, so central banks decide to raise interest rates. Suddenly, brand new bonds are being issued offering an 8% yield. But you're sitting there holding an old bond that only pays a 6% yield. So what happens? Logically, absolutely no investor wants your 6% bond when they can just go buy a shiny new 8% bond for the exact same price. Therefore, investors sell the old bonds, abandoning them for the new ones. To convince anyone to buy your 6% bond, you basically have to put it on sale. The price must drop. That is the inverse relationship in action.
While the overall yield is for sure the primary driver, let's briefly summarize the other key factors affecting bond prices so you have a truly holistic view of the market mechanics. First up, interest rates, generally controlled by central banks like the RBI. Second, credit risk. If a company becomes riskier, investors demand a higher yield, which, as we just learned, forces the price lower. Third is time to maturity. The longer you have to wait for your money, the more sensitive the bond is to rate changes. And finally, the coupon rate itself. A higher coupon naturally dictates a higher price, assuming all else is equal.
Section 4. Navigating common exam traps. Don't get caught.
Okay, I need everyone to pay super close attention right now. This is exactly where well-prepared candidates lose easy points. The crucial detail is understanding the difference between how a bond is quoted and what you actually pay for it. The clean price, sometimes called the flat price, excludes accrued interest. This is the price you see quoted on financial screens. But the full price, or dirty price, includes accrued interest. Think about it. If you buy a bond halfway through its coupon period, the seller is entitled to half of that coupon. You have to compensate them for it. Therefore, clean price plus accrued interest equals the full price. Do not confuse the two when the examiner asks you what an investor actually pays out of pocket.
Let's simulate the exam experience and test that active recall. Rapid fire question 1. A bond has a face value of 1,000 rupees, an 8% coupon, and a 10% yield to maturity. Will the price be a premium, discount, or par? Take a second. Think back to the logical rule we established earlier.
The answer is discount. The bond is only paying an 8% coupon, but the market demands a 10% return. Because the bond is offering a subpar rate, it simply must trade below par to attract any buyers. See how much faster that is than punching in the full calculation? Rely on the logic.
Let's throw in one more trap check to ensure you're totally locked in. Rapid fire question 2. Which component is explicitly included in the full price of a bond? Is it A, the coupon, B, accrued interest, or C, the face value?
And the answer is B, accrued interest. Remember, the full price or dirty price is exactly what you pay out of pocket, which means compensating the seller for the interest they've earned but haven't actually received yet. If you got that right, huge congratulations on mastering a very tricky exam concept. And finally, Section 5, CFA Practice and Study Strategy, Winning the Exam. As we transition into this final stretch, we really need to shift the focus from hard memorization to workflow efficiency. Passing Level 1 requires a solid master plan. First, focus on the fundamental logic, just like our premium versus discount rule. Second, and I literally cannot stress this enough, practice your calculator shortcuts on the BAI+. Using the time value of money row saves you critical minutes on numerical problems compared to writing out manual equations. Third, deeply master those yield relationships, remember the seesaw effect. And finally, relentlessly solve CFA Institute mock questions so you get completely used to the specific phrasing examiners use to try and trip you up. We'll wrap up this explainer with this thought. If you understand bond pricing, you understand the backbone of fixed income in CFA Level 1. You've seen the mechanics, you've calculated the premiums, and you've sidestepped the traps. The foundation is firmly set. So the provocative question I'll leave you with today is this. Knowing that foundational logic always trumps rote memorization, how are you going to fundamentally change the way you approach your practice questions starting right now? Keep analyzing, keep practicing those calculator keystrokes, and I'll see you in the next explainer.